Hey, Dawn here, back again, making sure my stream is going. Now, I know that, okay, now it says live. There we go. Okay, I know that I'm going to have trouble with my web browser if I keep trying to watch my stream, so I'm going to get out of that page. It does something on this Fedora 14 system. It makes Firefox and Constantine use up like 3030, so that's 60% of my processor on this 1.8 core 2 gigahertz. Now let's see. Yep, we got audio, we got video feedback there in the window, and when I switch over to my this first switch, I'm going to go ahead and kill this. I'm just going to close my remote desktop. That's how I'm controlling my laptop to do this, get this recording going. Not gonna do local recording this time because it seemed to make the lag between the audio and video even worse. So I'm gonna close this remote desktop to free up more bandwidth on my network, and then of course I don't have any way to get over here on the other machine. Don't really have I can turn and look at my screen, so I can still tell if I'm recording. This is all I can really do safely. I don't have powerful enough powerful enough machines, or enough. I got 60 megabit down and 4 up with my Charter internet service, but still, these streaming applications seem to be pretty bandwidth hungry. So I'm not doing HD or anything like that. That webcam's 1200 by 1600 or something like that resolution. If I switch over to the desktop, it really doesn't seem to make any difference. Either one starts out okay. Audio and video are synced pretty good, but you can't go more than 10 to 15 minutes without it starting to get out of sync. It starts lagging more and more. And the whole point of YouTube Live is to do everything live. I mean, they let it go for 8 hours before they kill it. I've skipped through at least 8 hours of Hot Rod Drag Week. If you've ever, my favorite things I've ever seen is that live drag racing there they have once a year by Hot Rod Magazine. Motor Trend is the owner of them. Anyway, there's a plug for somebody that whether they deserve it or not. I think they do. I love their shows. And so anyway, I was in the middle of selecting my disk when all this and that buzz, I don't know if that come into my laptop or not. I didn't touch it, but sometimes my wireless phone, I've noticed when I take it off and put it back up there, it makes a buzz in my speakers. But anyway, I'm using an SM58 mic, Shure SM58, and I don't have a mixer, so I'm running it through my cassette deck as a preamp. And it works pretty good, but I do get a little bit of buzz. If it's silent, you can hear that buzz. Best I can get out of that. I had a little headset. It was earphones and a mic, and it worked pretty good and didn't make noise. But the stupid thing broke, and it drove me crazy anyway. It squeezed my head and it hurt. I couldn't stand wearing it. So one of the ears just broke off, and I could still wear it, but I just decided today I don't want to wear that thing at all. So using my SM58 on a boom stand that you can't see, but it's just over to the left of the screen here. I guess you can see my hand. So anyway, back to what I was trying to make a video of. I have this 80 gigabyte, well of course you only get 74.56 showing up to the system. That's 80 gigabyte hard drive that I'm going to reformat with Fedora 23 server, and my goal is to end up with Mate Desktop installed as well. I can't remember the trick. Well, I do remember. When I installed Fedora 22 on the other machine, one that's running my backup of my server right now, so that I can work on this, I I actually wasn't trying to install the server. I would use the server net. I'm using the server net install version because it the full DVD is bigger. I want, like, my USB stick over here is 2 gigabytes. 1.9 is what you get on it that you can use, and it won't hold it. So it's the net install is like 500, 700 megabytes or something, just fine. Works good. Fits good. So I went blank again. So my 70, I'll just go back to where I was here on the screen, and then maybe I'll figure out what I was saying. My 80 gigabyte hard drive, it already has all my previous attempts. No problem, I got it installed and it worked. First 3 or 4 times it did not work, it hung up. And I still don't know quite why it hung. Well, it hung up, I think, because it doesn't give you errors. That's the thing I don't like about the new installation system. It doesn't give you errors or feedback or tell you where things are going wrong. It does put it in a log file in temp folders that are gone as soon as you reboot. So what good is that? So because it automatically rebooted every time it had a problem, it automatically rebooted. I would go off and do other things, come back, and there my system was sitting there at the beginning of the install again. And so I did that at least 4 times. And then I installed it 3 times and reformatted it again because I wanted to have. I installed it and I ended up with nothing but a command line interface. Mate desktop, the full Mate desktop either wasn't completely installed or it wasn't turned on. So I messed around with it. I'd get into it with that local network remote app, and you can turn some things on and off in there. What is the name of that? I forget everything. I've only been doing like since 2005. You'd think I'd remember the names of this stuff, but my brain doesn't work too good. I don't remember names of stuff very well. So anyway, I tried and messed around with that control application and use it in the web browser, and I turn on things with Plymouth, whichever way you're supposed to say it, the boot system application. And finally got to looking. I have Fedora 21 on the other hard drive on this. It's what I've been running. And I actually tried to upgrade it and it didn't work. It failed. So I'm doing a fresh install on a different. I needed a little more space anyway. So that's like a 30 or 40 gig. I think it was a 30 gigabyte hard drive, and it was running out of space. So from my web server. So I just left it as it is, and then I can run it, that can be my server until I start working on it again, and then I just use my router, to switch over, tell it to point to a different machine, and then I can seamlessly change over, and my website's not down while I'm working on it. So that worked out pretty good. It's nice having several of these old, like this here IBM, kind of dark, the way I had to set it so you could at least see there was a screen there. No, you can't read it, that's why I'm trying to explain everything. The IBM is, again, a 2.8 gigahertz Celeron, so it doesn't make too much heat. And it is quiet, which is good since it's in my room where I sleep. And it made a good web server. I've ran it for at least a year now, maybe longer. I had a Dell. I still have it. It's under my desk. It's a great footstool. It's a Dell GX1. It's a 400 megahertz P3. I ran that for ever since about 06, 07 until when I switched over to this IBM. Anyway, what I was saying is, when I work on computers for neighbors and stuff sometimes, and I got one neighbor that he's always getting a hold of old computers. He'll do software stuff for people, like Windows and stuff like that, but he hasn't really learned anything about Linux. I put Linux on his laptop for him, because he lost his license key for his Windows 7, and he crapped out and he needed a new operating system. And so anyway, he's given me several older computers over the years, and so I got lots of stuff to play with and use. And get some water. I'll work on his computer some, and I used to. Haven't done it as much in the last couple of years, but he's gotten busier. We haven't talked as much as we used to. But that's where how come I have all these different machines and these old laptops and stuff. And, so back to all my install. I hate that this video is broken up like this, but maybe one day I'll edit it. I don't know. My whole point was to do it on YouTube Live and it just be there, you know. That, and like I said before, I don't have enough space on this laptop to save a long video like this, especially with me rambling, making it even longer. And I figured out on the last one that got interrupted by the Windows update wanting to reboot. And by the way, guess what that was? I had headed off that Windows 10 upgrade nag screen. I learned ahead of time and I stopped it from getting installed. Well, they changed something and this install put it back in there. So I'm just, well, I won't go into it. I found an app that other than to say I found an app that's supposed to get rid of it, and well, I tried it on I have a desktop with Windows 7 that didn't get rid of it. Then I went back, well, I saw another article from the same website, and anyway, turned out to be the same app, but I read around on their video, actually, it's how-to video, and the comments and back and forth were saying that Windows was getting ahead of him. They were changing things about as fast as he could change his app, so I may try his app again and see if it works this time. They're trying to force Windows 10 on you, and you can't. And what really drives me crazy is that old that machine. I clicked on it just to see what would happen, and it says see, my machine's won't even run Windows 10, and it's still trying to push, popping up all that crap, you know, get Windows 10, blah blah blah. And this laptop, it might run it, but I don't want it on there because it just handles with 2 gigahertz Core 2 and 3 gig of RAM. It just handles Windows 7, which it's a dual boot. I hardly ever use Windows. That's why every time I get on it, I get aggravated with all those. You know, there's all these updates that haven't been downloaded because I get on it once in a while, and I use Fedora. What have I got? Fedora 21 on there now, and I can't jump from, you know, like two distros. How can I can't say it right. Got Fedora 21. I need 23, and I can't skip one. So I think I tried to do 22 and it didn't work for some reason. Cause I started with 19 on there, and I did do an upgrade to 21. That worked, but. So anyway, I need to do a fresh install on it. I got several machines I need to do fresh installs on, so I thought make this video, and if nothing else, it will remind me of what I did to make it work and get what I want. With the server, you know, it's a little different. I don't like messing around in the command line all the time. It's so much easier in the GUI. I can't remember commands. I make typing mistakes. I do simple stuff, but not complicated long commands. So back to my install. I've gotten what I was going to say is I have installed it. Runs fine, you know, with just the command line interface. And I went ahead and ran I have scripts I made. I'd mentioned before I have scripts I made to install all the apps that I previously had on my other systems. All my scripts, my 2 scripts that I have, and they did fine, other than I need to update the Yum scripts to DNF scripts, because now it uses DNF for package management instead of Yum. Right, so far it still works. You can type Yum install, or my script says Yum install and then lists all the, you know, all the apps and everything. It just says Yum's been depreciated in your command line, and but it switches over for you and does it for you. But I need to update my scripts. I should just be able to change Yum to DNF and it'll all work, I think. We'll see. I didn't want to fiddle around with that. I just want to be able to get this server up and running, and be able to work, you know, be able to set it up in the GUI, so in the graphic user interface. So I think I figured out where I was, the little trick I was missing, and that's what I'm going to do here in the video. So I'm back to the point to where I was selecting my hard drive, and since it's already been formatted several times, what you get, I can just say that, I can name that out here. SDA is, I would say, in preserve, so I'm going to hit boot Fedora 23 i6. This is a 32-bit system, i686 SDA ext4 200. It's going to use 274 megabytes of 500. It makes that partition. And then Fedora, and I named it Bishop Co. SDA2. That's what I've been naming the system, because my website is bishopco.com. That's my main website. And then the LVM, well, it doesn't say, it just says not resizable. And then there's free space 1.5 megabytes, which is always going to be there. So I'm going to hit delete all. Now it says delete on everything. Down here at that bottom right corner, you hit reclaim space. Like I was saying before, it's just a little slow at responding on this machine. One good thing, it takes a while for the installation source to find the closest mirror and do all that. Well, I've left this just sitting here running all this time while I had all this trouble with my Windows system and making my video. So everything's it's there. My destination, that's your hard drive that I just was in. I already did my local network. I'll just go in there again just to show it. I already changed it to bishopco.local domain. The default is localhost.local domain, which I like to name them. Since I have a bunch of machines on my network, if I leave them all local hosts, they'll conflict with each other in certain things you want to do. So, and of course over here it tells you your IP address and everything that you have at the present time. And I set my routers up to you know, always give that machine the same address on the ones that I want that to happen on anyway. You certainly would want to do that on your server. So go back and hit done up there. Of course I didn't actually do done anything this time, and all that was already done. You know, your English keyboard and language, and time and date's automatic, which is nice. Used to be a real pain clicking on those little maps trying to get your time and date the way you wanted it. So and finds the closest mirror is automatic. Hard drive I did all that. Okay, now so I'm going to go to software selection. Now this is where it gets kind of odd. Defaults to Fedora server. Now see, when I made a DVD, and I actually, did I use it once? I think I used it once on this system. Anyway, you don't have as many things to choose from in the DVD server install as you do net install. So that's kind of cool to do the net install. So, but all these different things in here that I want, they don't show up in, you got different things: minimal, workstation, cloud server, KDE, XFCE, LXDE, LXQT, desktop. Heck, I'm not even quite familiar with that one. I didn't know there was a desktop. I didn't know what about. Cinnamon, I don't care for. Mate, I like. It's like Genome 2. Sugar, I don't like. They're actually for little kids. Sugar, Cinnamon, I think they both are. I can't remember now. Development and creative workstation. Oh yeah, software, hardware, graphics, so and so. Web server. So you can notice there's nothing that's web server. But when you're in there, I don't think there's any kind of. What does it have in there? Pretty much the same as the default, and you can click on Mate Applications, Mate Compiz, but that will not, and that's what I've been doing, but that will not give you Mate Desktop. I don't know why it's in there if it won't do it. Infrastructure server. Be honest, I don't know just everything about what that would be used for, other than I know what you know, like when you set your router to. I guess I won't even say. I'll just be making wild guesses. I don't know enough about it. Basic desktop, basic X Windows system with the choice of window manager. Oh, then you can choose different desktops. So I guess this way you could choose, and I hadn't paid enough attention on that. Mate. Here's what I thought I was going to do, but let's see if I change my mind. Okay, I was going to just leave it on the default Fedora server, select all the things I want in here, and this is what I used to do always, and it worked fine. But what I had thought was that it quit working. I would select what I wanted, and then I would switch over. You could switch in any one of these sections and pick and choose whatever you want, and you would get it all. But what I had thought I remembered from Fedora 21 was that if you switch these main tabs over here, radio buttons over here, you lose your selections over there. But the more I've messed with it, the more I'm thinking maybe you don't. So I'm going to go back to that basic. But I don't want just a basic desktop, so I need my server. That's the whole point here. And you could select, I do know that, I'm going to get ahead of myself here. You can select different desktops in here, which would be cool, because I always like to have, I always want at least Mate and KDE, because I love so many KDE apps like Crusader, and you got to have at least the basic parts of KDE. So I just go ahead and install the whole desktop, and then if something gets broken in my desktop, I got a backup, and I can go in there and fix it. And I have had to do that before. So I'm not sure what would happen if I started with basic, so I want to make sure I get my server, and we're just going to have to see what happens. It's going to be trial and error, but heck, after all these times, what the heck? Directory server, I believe that installs 389 directory server. Don't really need that. DNS, I would like to be able to do a DNS name server, because if I could, I've tried to learn that. It's pretty complicated, but if this installs all the apps for me, try to install it from scratch on a system, that was already running, and I could never get it working. The DNS name server would be great, instead of me having to use because I have a IP address that changes, with my ISP. And so I have to use a redirect server. Well, what do they call those things? Anyway, I know anytime I want to say the right words, I forget them. Anyway, since it changes, I use this free service that automatically keeps making me be found. Let's just say it that way. And that's fine, except for you have another domain name that they give you on top of your normal domain names. Now, if I could do a DNS name server in my bishopco.com, donsongs.com, song68.com.org, if I could all be separate, the DNS names were being recognized to the internet. This is what I believe it would do for me. I don't know if it'll work with I have a dynamic IP address that keeps changing, and static IP addresses is what you need for a web server, but that's expensive. That's one of the couple of the terms I forgot I was trying to say. So I think that I could, even with a dynamic IP address, I think if it was serving out that domain name, that it would be found even if it changed. Now, I could be wrong about that. So maybe that I'll never get away from that. I think it's called dynamic forwarding or something like that. Service that I have. It's what's the name of it? Okay, the web domain name that I have through my forwarding service is bishopco.homeip.net, and that's basically, after running that for a couple of years, and that's basically what Google thinks it is. It really hurts your Google rankings is what happens, and over the time. And that's why I'd like to get away from it, because on my other domain names that I'm actually paying for, don't rank anymore. They used to really well, pretty good for. First my certain keywords that really pertain to my website, the ones I was going for, So anyway, let's get another drink. We peek around the laptop, see if it looks like it's. Yeah, okay. As far as I can tell, I'm still streaming. So, I'm going to do DNS name server, and since everything needs a certificate, you know, I am going to say my websites right now are all old school, just straight HTML. I even got to where I took all the any little Java applets and everything out of there because when they get old, they get vulnerable. You know, I ended up having a stupid pop-up that I like to never found. It would go to this website called circlepush.com as a pop-up, and it was a game, and it wasn't malicious, the best from what I could tell, but it was. I didn't want it on my website, and didn't even know what it was until it started popping up. And what it turned out to be, I thought I got rid of it several times, and then what I kept forgetting was that I use pop-up blockers and all kinds of junk, you know, all the time, and so I had to get on a web browser without any of that on it to make sure I had got it gone. And anyway, it turned out I thought it was in a music player from my music that I use from archive.org, but now I don't actually think it ever was. It turned out it was in an old hit counter that I had put in there way back. And that hit counter had evidently been hacked, or maybe the site's been gone and bought by somebody else, maybe by that Circle Push, but that hit counter was what was causing that pop-up. So once I deleted that off of, it was only on one page that I really kept seeing it, maybe another one, but I used a search and replace, you know, editor, and just got rid of all that code. In that case, I searched for it and replaced it with nothing, and so I got rid of that because I didn't need those counters. Actually, that counter didn't work anymore. That should have given me a clue it wasn't working. And so I want to put Drupal. Before I went, oddly enough, I went in reverse. I started out with straight HTML back in 1989. I mean, 89. I wasn't on the internet back then. 98. I started learning how to build websites, and I ran until about 02 or something like that. A little later than that, I ran my straight HTML websites, and then I was using GoDaddy's. You know, that's who I use for my domain names, but I was using them also for, you know, server service and web servers. And I tried out all different kind of things. It was really easy, just click and go, you know. And I decided I like Drupal for a PHP website, a dynamic website. And I kind of was working on it and everything. I didn't ever completely get converted over. I was going to move all my websites into dynamic websites. And it got to where I couldn't afford to keep paying that every year, you know. So, and plus I was just really wanted to have more control. So I learned how to set up my own servers. And once I did that, I didn't want to go back. But also, you know, it's pretty. You have to edit. You have to set up your your MySQL database, and you have to edit all these config files and do all this junk by hand, and I just had so much trouble remembering and following the instructions. If I could learn how to do something, I'm great, but if I have to sit there and read instructions and follow them, I have a problem with that. So I ended up just sticking with my HTML websites. So I want to get back to Drupal or something like that, and get a dynamic web. All my websites, I want to be dynamic again, you know. And I'm going to use I'll go down here a little further. You'll see MariaDB. That's what I'm going to use now. That's what Fedora recommends. MariaDB SQL database. So, and it's all automatic here. Get this all installed. I have seen it working, you know, on my 21 setup. So, but I didn't actually go ahead and do the Drupal port and all that yet. So, because you don't want, if it's not automatically, see with using Fedora server, and I set my systems to automatic updates, and I don't have to worry about, you know, security holes popping up that I don't know about and getting me before I even find out about it. I read the security news every day, but you know, it's just hard to keep on top of that stuff. Okay, so free IPA server, I'm not going to do that. FTP server, I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna open it up. I used to run FTP server on the internet, but this last year or two, people kept hitting it constantly, trying to log into it, and I didn't have it log in. I had it just read only, no login, but they kept trying anyway and using up my bandwidth and crap. Actually, they did it so much that it was basically like a denial of service attack. It would make my website keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. So I finally just well, I don't think I even have FTP on the Fedora 21, but that makes it hard to administrate your servers locally. So what I'm going to do is install FTP, but not open those ports to the internet, only to my local network. See how that works. As long as I don't get in trouble with that, I'll leave it like that. No guest agents, don't really know what that's for. High availability, I kind of understand it, but I don't really need it. I'm always one, oh, sounds cool, I'll try it out, you know. I've always done that, but when you're doing stuff to a web server, you don't really want to just try stuff out you don't know for sure how to run it. Okay, hardware support tools, load balancers. It should automatically just do a pretty good job. I kind of like it when my machine can tell me what's going on. Someone do the mail server, MariaDB, and all you have to do is use PHP MyAdmin to administrate it. So that is not in the list here, but I'll go and install that later. Or you could use another one. There's another one I have on. I have all different kinds of things like this set up, already set up on my Fedora 14 system just as a test bed. And I manually install it. I just use Package Manager, but I have MySQL and one particular GUI application. It's great. It's a really powerful graphic application that can do everything that could possibly be done with a SQL database. And it's pretty hard to figure out how to run. I had to do a lot of reading, but it's kind of hard to hook up to another remote server. You know, I get it figured out, and then I forget how to do it because I don't do this stuff very often. I get it running and leave it alone, you know. So anyway, PHP MyAdmin's really to me the easiest one to use. So that's probably what I'll do. It's a web-based control app for SQL databases. Network services, a bunch of DHCP, Keyproofs, NIS. I used to use NIS some, but I got to where I just use SFTP. Let's see. DHCP. I might need to. What I need DHCP. DHCP gives out IP addresses. I'm going to leave that off this time because I don't need it. Do I need my server giving out? No, I don't need my server to be a router. And I definitely don't want it giving out IP addresses and fighting with my router. I don't really use NIS, and I have read here over the years. I've read a lot of different times where it can be exploited. So there's no point in having something you don't have much use for. Common network submodules. I'm not reading the whole thing because my voice is beginning to go away. Printing support. So I might want to do that. I might want to plug a printer into here and have it be a print server. And I do often want, I didn't mention that before, but I'm going to put a big storage hard drive in here later after I'm done, and share videos, my own videos over my local network. So I'm going to can use SFTP, FTP, and SMB Windows file server, Samba, for all the machines on my local network. Don't need PostgreSQL database. Don't need headless virtualization. Do need basic web server. And which is you'll find it in your system as HTTPD. What is it? Apache? Yeah. Apache. Yeah, Apache. something I've been using since back in Windows 98. That's the first thing I learned how to do is install Apache on a Windows 98 system, and I actually saw it working. I got set it up and had it working on the dial-up, but couldn't leave it that way. Okay, administration tools. I don't need audio production. Authoring and publishing like HTML, PDF. Yeah, that might be helpful. Books and guides. Don't do C development. Cloud. I tried that out. Own cloud is what you get, and it's really too hard to set up. And I mean, it was running just fine, but I couldn't get to it with any other machine but my server. He wouldn't let me in, and I couldn't. I read and read, and I got tired fooling with it. It's too tricky to get it to let your own local network get in there. Container management, that's for Docker, and this machine is a 32-bit. You got to have 64-bit to run Docker. It's it tried to install what parts it could. I think what it did is installed some control app, but it couldn't install the actual system. Cloud, no. Container, no. That's what I was talking about. Development tools. Okay, let's see. LDC Genie tag, and I probably don't actually need that, but just in case I need it for my music, I do use Genie tag editor sometimes on my MP3s, and this may not even be the same thing, I'm not sure. Design suite, that could be good, you know, messing with your graphics and stuff. I usually do everything on my other machine, but once in a while I want to do something on here. Development tools like Git and CVS. Now sometimes you might need to install something that needs to work with Git, so I just went ahead. If it's automatic, why not do it, you know? You don't have to figure out how to do it step by step. Now then, domain membership, joining a free IPA or Active Directory domain. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think that might help me in setting up my domain names, but I'm not sure that's really what I need. Eclipse, I never have quite learned what that is, so I don't need that. I've installed a lot of this stuff before, and there wasn't any GUI apps that came with them to help me figure them out, so I didn't mess with them. Editors, text, Emacs and Vi. I don't know how many other ones there are, but I do use them both sometimes, Emacs and Vi. Emacs is kind of hard and weird, but if you're in the command line and you need a text editor, Emacs will do anything if you can remember how to run it. Vi is pretty easy, so you might need that to fix a broken system. Educational software, don't need that on here. Don't need an electronics lab on here. There's some cool stuff in there. Engineering scientific. Only thing I've really ever used out of that is the unit converter, which is on my other system. No games. I don't play games. Headless management. I don't want that because I don't want to expose the machine to those attacks, just like SFTP. Those are known ports, you know. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember what they are, but those are known ports to people that attack your machines, and they'll be trying to log into your machine. And I'm pretty sure that LibreOffice, whoops, it selected it, is what was hanging it up, because I was saying earlier that it kept hanging up and rebooting and not finishing the install. I'm pretty sure that's one of the apps that did that. There's certain things, I do not know why, if it's using up too much. A lot of this happens in your memory, you know, your RAM. Well, not a lot. As far as I mean, it makes a temp folder and it downloads everything into that temp folder on your hard drive, and then they get deleted when it's done. But it does use up a bunch of RAM too. So I don't know what the deal is, but I'm pretty sure that LibreOffice, it's about 350, 400 megabytes. I'm pretty sure it might have been the one app that I think might have made it do that. And that's what I'm saying. There's no error messages or anything to tell you this is what went wrong after it. And I even caught it before it rebooted at the end, and it still didn't, you know, it didn't tell you. It didn't ever tell me that I could see. That was one reason I wanted to make a video. I thought, you know what, I'm making a video, then I could, well, if I could make a real desktop video, which, you know, you got to have a powerful machine to work and make a video at the same time. And I'm running off a USB stick, so that'd be a heck of a trick to make it do that. I'm sure somebody could do it. I could probably learn how, but that's why I'm using this cheesy webcam setup here. Can't see it, I'm just talking about it, I know that, but anyway. I'm not going to do LibreOffice, even though I would want it on here later. And I always have, I've always selected Mate applications for the Mate desktop, Mate Compiz. Group adds Compiz Emerald to the Mate desktop. Now that makes me think that that's installing the Mate desktop, but it has not ever worked. I've done this every time, and it's still. But I'm going to do it again. But then what I'm going to do is go over here to the Mate desktop, and what I've been doing is I went over there and clicked on it, and then I don't know if I ever actually selected anything in there. I didn't. What I'm going to do this time is select what I want on this in Fedora server, and I'm going to figure that all that stuff will stay selected. Then I'm going to go over there and click the radio button from my desktop, and then I'm going to hit install. So I'll tell you that before I get on down here, and let me peek around. As far as I can tell, all I can look at my laptop is it says, if it says stop streaming, you must still be streaming. Right? I do know that it'll show you if it has an error in that OBS Studio. Don't need the medical applications. Milk you missed. I don't even know what that is. Okay. Office and productivity. Oh, keeps. You can't click on them unless you want to click on them, unless you want to select them. I'll have to go back and look through it all again and make sure I'm not getting things I don't want. The robotics, RPM development tools, that can help you and install. Actually, if you don't do that, I don't think you'll be able to install just from an RPM. Security lab, yeah, that's useful. You can use that to sometimes find out who it is that's been trying to get into your system and stuff. Sound and video. Yeah, the one for playing, like VLC and all that, I want that. System tools, yeah. Stuff for SMB shares. Text-based internet, that can be useful. Don't need 3D printing. Window managers that aren't part of the desktop environment. I always thought that might be a good thing to have. I'm not sure. Doesn't say what they are. That's the other thing. You used to be able to click on a little link. They would tell you exactly what every section had in it, and they don't have that anymore. You're supposed to just guess from their title and description. So, directory server. You know, it could be useful. I did it last time and it didn't hang it up. Okay, so that'll probably, I think that's 389 directory server. DNS name server, dog tag certificate. That'll give me a way to have SSH keys. I haven't ever got into it. I don't know. I don't think it has a GUI. IPA server for identity policy management. I think that's mostly like to handle permissions and stuff, and identities like of other, like if you were doing a enterprise business system for a local network setup. I think that's more what that's for. FTP, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Guest additions for hypervisor, that's for virtual machines. I know that. I'm not going to run that on here. Couldn't do it. Couldn't handle it. The high availability infrastructure, I think that's seriously high availability, like Facebook kind of stuff, you know. I've read about it before. I think it's supposed to help with some load balancing and stuff, but I've got this other one that's just a load balancer, so I think that's all I need. Hardware support for various stuff. Just says various specific utilities. I don't know for sure. Mail server, MariaDB, network server, yeah, DHCP, Kubros, NIS. I put that in the last time, and it didn't cause me any trouble. I mean, it didn't fight with my, a lot of this stuff doesn't turn on unless you go in there and turn it on. NIS, keyboard, Kubros. Alright, I'm going to put it on there just to make sure. What do you think? Kubros, DHCP, NIS. I'm afraid that I might want NIS one for something, and then we'll be able to have it. It's the only one I think I would really want. Well, I have given a lot of thought to letting my server be also be the router, you know. Well, this one can do it. It can. One time I put 2 NIC cards, and then the onboard in it. So I had 3 NIC cards, 3 network interfaces on it, and I was going to do that, but then I decided I didn't want to depend on this machine. I didn't want it to, you know, if something went wrong with it, I didn't want my whole connection to the internet to be jacked up, you know. So I didn't do it. So anyway. Oops, when you click on them, it makes them go away. You gotta remember. Okay, directory server, DNS name server, dog tag, FTP, hardware support, load balancer, mail server, MariaDB, keep roasting NIS. Yeah, it could possibly be, yeah, go ahead and do it. Alright, now then. Network management modules, printing, Windows file server, no PostgreSQL. Okay, basic web server, administration tools, audio production. Well, I'm not going to edit videos on our audio or videos on here. Okay, authoring and publishing of HTML, PDF, and like that. Of course, it doesn't mean it's going to give my favorite apps, but it'll have something to get me by. If I'm books and guides. No cloud container, can't even do that. I'd like to learn about that Docker and those containers. I have to use a different machine to do that. Something that's 64-bit. Development tools, design suite, let's see. Development tools and libraries, and the development tools for Git and CVS. Okay, domain membership, Fedora, Eclipse. Not going to do that. Okay, editors, education. Learning scientific games, headless management. I just think it's too big of a security risk. It's not that I wouldn't really want it. I may be doing worse over some of those other things. Made Compiz, which does not give me the desktop like I want it to. Okay. Medical applications. Milky Mist, M-I-L-K-Y-M-I-S-T, Milky Mist. Tool chain for Milky Mist, hardware engineers. Well, I'm not doing any of that, so yeah, I guess that's obvious by now. Okay, PDF stuff, robotics. I'd like to learn some of that stuff too. Let's see, RPM development tools. That's basically, I think that'll mostly, if you do that, put those on there, then if you, like I said before, make it to where it's already ready to go to install from an RPM if you want to do something like that. Security Lab, that's pretty good for kind of finding out what people are doing to your system. Sound and video, this is players mostly, burning CDs, stuff like that. I do have a CD drive in there, not a DVD. I had a DVD in there before, and I took it out because I had two. It had both. And I put it in another machine. System tools, stuff. Something about clients from SMB shares, monitor network traffic, text-based internet. Once in a while, that can be useful, especially on a slow machine. You know, you can use that to just read the text and not have all the Flash and Java lugging down the machine. Don't do 3D printing. Don't have one of those. Be kind of cool, but I don't have one. Okay, window managers. Okay, I think that might be useful. Alright, now here's where I usually just have gone ahead and installed from there. And click up there and then click again so that it will just because I want it up there instead of down in the middle of the page. Okay. Now, since I did basically on my other machine on Fedora, actually I think I started with Fedora 21, but I clicked on Make Desktop using the Fedora server install system, and then I installed from there, and I still ended up with whenever I went to look at that machine, seeing if I was going to have to install web server, It was already installed. All I had to do is just put my files on it. It was installed and ready to go. I think I had to tell it to start, you know, with the system. Okay, so when I click on Mate Desktop, I still see a lot of the same stuff. There's Mate, but I don't see, well, I don't see all that server stuff. All I see is basically stuff that would be on a desktop. So it makes me think that I won't end up with that server stuff. But I did on that other machine. So that's my logic here, is that, and when I click back on server, I didn't lose any of my selections. So I'm going to go to Mate Desktop this time, and I'm going to end up clicking my install button from here, or my done button, and then go install. Now let's see. I don't know if this is going to make any difference. I don't know what the deal is. To the point now where I may just go and install Debian. I've used Debian quite a bit too, and it's pretty easy to install Debian and get a server up and running on that. What I wanted to do with the Fedora seems to have a lot more to choose from, as far as it's pretty. You can go into the package manager. I don't know why it's not in this, but in the package manager you can go in there and install your Drupal and all that stuff pretty quickly and easily. Just select whatever you want out of it. There's probably at least 25-30 different things you can select that will go with Drupal, you know. A lot of add-ons and stuff. So it already shows the things I selected from the other window, but all I see is Mate Applications and Mate Desktop, Mate Compass. That's all I see. The more I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking this ain't gonna make any difference. It's not gonna work. Oh, I know what I want to do. I'm not seeing anything to do with Mate in here. All I'm seeing is the stuff I selected and the stuff I left out. Down there, Basic Desktop. I saw that a while ago, and I see there's some stuff already selected. Looky there. What's not selected? Mate Desktop. So why in the world, if I figured it out like I think I have, why in the world would they have those two parts of Mate Desktop that you can install from the server, but not be able to just install a desktop over there? I mean, those parts shouldn't even show up in the server part if it doesn't install the whole desktop. It's automatically, which is what would normally happen. Well, I mean, you can go install in the package manager. You can install just parts of it, of Mate or whatever desktop, and still not, you know, get what you want. I've done that when I was trying to add a new desktop, you know, forgot to pick something, and so you do have to pay attention and make sure you get the basic desktop, and then these other things are extra parts of it. So they're down there, they're already selected. Okay, you know what I'm going to do now? Well, I don't select too much stuff and it'll break something, but I think, where's KDE? I know I will need KDE so that I can get Crusader and all my other favorite KDE based apps up and running. XFCE actually is what I was using because it's the lightest weight, but during some power outages it actually broke it, and it was really whacked out. It was working but wasn't working right, and so I went back to using Mate. I had several power outages with storms and stuff over, you know, a couple of week period, and at first I thought it was acting really crazy. I just kept on booting back into XFCE. And I thought, well, somebody's got it in the machine and they're jacking around with it. And then I finally realized something happened that made me realize something was broke. And my mouse was acting crazy and my keyboard was acting crazy and stuff, and things were missing, you know, that should be showing up. And so anyway, I finally figured out it was that XFCE had gotten broken. I remember those power outages, you know. So from losing power in the middle of whatever was going on. Xmonad for Mate. I don't know what Xmonad for Mate. Window Manager with Mate. Xmonad. A titling window manager. That's something else. I don't know what it is. Okay, I don't want Genome 3 for sure. Oh, Firefox web browser. That's not going to already be there? Oh, well, let's click on it. There we go. Definitely want Firefox. Actually, I want Miro. Something like, not Miro, that's that other thing. My other web browser that's lightweight, that's basically based on Firefox, basically. Like Firefox. It's not based on Firefox, it's based on the back end of Firefox. Midori. That's what it is, Midori. Because it can barely run Firefox, run stuff in Firefox on these older machines. But you know what? I think I figured it out. Because I'll click back into my server thing before I go, but I think all this stuff's going to stay. I really want to do XFCE too, but I'm afraid I'm going to have it jack up and reboot and not install anything. That's what I'm worried about. It's not too hard to install XFCE, any of the desktops really. And see, I did this, and it still didn't work. That's what I don't understand. I did it with Yum, and I did it with DNF. I did DNF at mate/desktop, and it worked, ran, installed, but it still wouldn't go into the mate whenever I would reboot. And I ran my scripts that have KDE, XFCE, everything, and it still would not show me any graphic boot screen or go into any desktop at all. And I don't know where all that information I had found, how I fixed it on Fedora 21. I thought, if I install it right from the start, I won't have to manually do that stuff, but maybe I will with Fedora server. Or maybe just be some things that are turned off that I need to turn on. I couldn't get it to work, and there were certain things I tried to turn on in that control application via the web browser remotely, and some of them wouldn't let me. They just wouldn't turn on. So I wasn't completely sure they were what I needed to do anyway, so I was just kind of guessing. Okay, most of this down here is apps. A lot of stuff already selected from the other window. But that's something I'm seeing is right there where it said that was not selected. I had selected, and then down here further you can see those two parts of mate. So I think maybe I've figured out my problem. I think I'll leave it with mate, KDE. Go ahead and do XFCE if it works. It's either going to, there's not much to it. It's not very large, so now if that works, then I will have everything I need. This is probably what I forgot. It's probably what I figured out when I was doing yeah, everything's still selected that I selected before. Go back down here again. I probably just didn't notice that because it's basic. Why is something named B at the bottom of the list anyway? It should be in alphabetical order. Okay, so yeah, when I move from one menu to the other, or one radio button to the other, I haven't lost any selections. I swear the first time I did this in Fedora 21, you did lose everything when you changed over. Maybe I'm crazy. Okay, so I think I found it. Gonna hit done. Looks like we're still working. Oh, it's back to checking the software dependencies and all that junk again. But it's done. Okay, so I guess it was really just checking that all those apps were available. So, all that to say begin installation. Now, it takes 30 minutes to an hour to do it. But it's preparing to install, says down there, bottom left. And you need to go ahead and do your, yeah, I guess it's good that you can't read my screen because I'm going to have to put my passwords in here. Oh, it's not going to show up anyway. It's really hard. It's really hard for me to get it down twice on these. I've got you know, since I had so many people trying to break in, I went ahead and did some hard passwords. Oh, passwords do not match. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Okay, I'll have to just not talk and type. Okay, now there's my root password. What? The download's going. Oh, it's installing packages, so that's good. And I always like to make a user because I like to have it running in the GUI and look up, see what's going on with it real quick. Okay, now we got this is the last thing you have to do. We just have to wait after this. So get you. It'll sit here for quite a while, and see if my stream is still working. And when it works, it will stop. It'll be sitting there when you come back, and right down in the bottom right, it'll say it's finished. Do you want to reboot? Go ahead and reboot. You know you're done. Now I noticed, I don't think it does that anymore. I think they fixed it, but in Fedora 21 I had a real problem because it would say it's finished, reboot, and it really wasn't. You could tell because the line wasn't to the end yet, and it's really stupid because the line, you know, you say, okay, the line's not to the end, but it says it's finished. The blue line is progress line, and sure enough it wasn't finished, and so it took me a while to figure that out by trial and error. And I'm sure they had all that stuff written on the Fedora documentation website, but that's one thing. They got all the information you need in there, but finding it's another thing, because you can't, it's set up like a wizard. You know, it's next page, next page, next page. You can't search that website from within the website. You can find a page. The best thing I can do is go to Google and search for what I'm looking for. If it comes up on the Fedora documentation, good, I read it there. If it comes up on some other website, I read it there. If it comes up in a forum where you got to read all this ins, outs, and I did this and I did that, then oh great. Sometimes it's the only way you can find it though, what you need. But I prefer to read the documentation on almost anything. But when they don't have a search on their website, it's pretty sucky. So that's the only one thing I don't like about the way the Fedora does things. Other than that, it's my favorite distro. I like everything about how it works, other than when they went to Genome 3. But Mate, you know, the person that built Mate saved us, the rest of us who love Genome 2, and it works just about exactly like Mate does. Works just about exactly like Genome 2, and it's actually, I think it uses less resources. Well, it definitely uses less resources than KDE or Genome 3. Or heck, it may be Genome 4 by now, I'm not sure. It's going to be 2,172 RPMs, 83.35 megabyte, slash 1.45 gigabyte, 49 gigabyte, 8% done. Oh, I guess that's progress so far. Yeah, 137.54 megabyte of 1.49 gigabyte. So, for a while there, I thought it was gonna be putting that in my memory, but I did see with all my problems, and I did find one. I did get to looking around in it one time before it rebooted, and I saw that, you know, where the temp files were and stuff. I saw where they were. I forget how I even did that, but anyway, I don't remember where they were. But you can't look at them from this screen. I'm not gonna click on anything. There might be something. You know, some installers have like little other things you can do while it's installing, like clicking on certain menus. You can do use file managers. I've seen them where they had Firefox in there, so that you can surf the web while you were waiting and stuff, and play music and stuff like that. But not really on it wasn't really installers. It was in backup apps, like that back up your hard drive and make images of it and stuff like that. There was one or two that I saw that did that. But I'm debating about stopping my recording. Trouble. I've done this a million times. I don't know why it's jacking up now. They must have changed something. Okay, yeah, I can see my screen, so I'm still streaming. The health is bad though. That's what I was concerned about. It's I'm sure that the audio and video is so far out of sync. That's why I was thinking about starting over, but it doesn't seem like that it's working well enough to even care. It's just like, oh well. Yeah, it's already, I can hear my machine, I can hear the fan speeding up. That's when I know. Try to go back before it's too late. But it is streaming, it's just not in good health. So, could go ahead and I think I waited too long. Yep, 30. Firefox is using 29, 30, 32%. Plugin contain 29%. And that's just more than the old system can handle. So, you know, okay, I keep forgetting that when I, you know, what are you seeing when I switch? Yep, I ain't getting it out of there without killing it. Firefox. One good thing about Linux, when you do have to kill an app like that, it's not like in Windows where you got to reboot to get it to work again. Almost always you can just start it back up. Once in a while. The only time you really have problems is if you have a power loss, you may have some problems with something. But not too bad usually, most of the time. What I was thinking, yeah, it wants to ask wants to know if you want to restore that page. No, I don't. But I was thinking I would, I'm going to close. I always have two pages open up. Look at my history and go to the download Fedora. And I'll set that all up with like audio video stuff, you know, because that's the two things I do with that laptop is make videos and watch videos. That's pretty much what I do with it. I like to watch. I watch all my TV on the computer. I watch, have Amazon Prime. I either watch stuff on there or I watch YouTube or something like that. I have an old TV. It's a really old 80s TV, and I have a VCR, have a SVHS VCR. Used to be the highest, you know, highest quality video you could get. And I have it hooked up to the TV so I can run from my lap. This laptop has an S-video output. It has an HDMI output, but I don't have a TV that'll take it. Anyway, I go that way with it. So, let me see. Let's go back over to. I'll probably use the remote desktop to stop it when I get ready to. I'm thinking now it'll get done quicker before I know it. By the time I get shut down, it'll be done. 25%. It's going pretty fast. But first he downloads them, then it installs them. So, other than these little changing advertisements telling you about Fedora, that's all you got to look at here on this screen. I was kind of leery about switching off of it because now I've done it over and over with no problems, but earlier today I switched off of it on the first screen, I think it was, and when I came back all I had was a mouse and a black screen, and I couldn't get it to come up. I thought it'd gone to sleep at first, and then I realized, well, I can see my mouse moving, so it was, you know, the machine's not asleep and neither, and the monitor's not asleep, so I set the BIOS in the machines to never go to sleep, so I won't have that problem. My monitor, I have it set, I think you can only, if it gets no signal for a certain amount of time, it'll go to sleep, but it always wakes back up pretty easy. If you get some activity going on the machine, it'll wake up. But I couldn't get it out of it. I had to finally just reboot it. And then I decided to go ahead and make this video, so I guess it was all good. Now, from previous experience, I'm thinking I've got at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I really don't pay much attention. I just go back to working on my other machines, and when I think about it, I look up, you know, and so I don't really know how long it's been done, how long it really takes. Most of the time when I have paid attention, it's usually 20 to 30 minutes, unless when you're doing the net install, I've seen it take 2 hours before, though, especially on a slow machine. When I installed the Bane on a 350 megahertz gateway I have out in the garage, just for a garage computer, I think it took about almost 2 hours to download and install. It was a net install. It took about 2 hours, but that's a pretty slow machine, you know. But it'll run, the Bane will run on those things. Bane 6 or 7. Cockpit, that's the name of that remote desktop app, and you go to your server, port 9090. I'm looking at it on the screen there. That's the name of that remote setup, control. There's quite a bit you can do in there, but I couldn't make my GUIs work from there. Now I'm thinking, why? Because I really didn't ever finish, and I didn't even install all of Mate. So why did they let you install 2 parts of Mate but not the whole desktop from that server setup? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. The way they have things divided, I think I did finally figure out that that particular section works similarly to what I'm used to. It's just that it's laid out differently, so I didn't get it, you know. I didn't catch on. Actually, I think I did catch on a year or 2 ago when Fedora 21 was first out, and then I forgot. Because once I got 21 on that system, I had no problems. I ran day in, day out, night and day. Nothing broke, you know. I'd get in there sometimes and add stuff or mess around with things. And I kept saying I was going to put Drupal on there, but I never did. And I had those problems with the pop-ups that I discovered, and well, I had it all fixed, I thought, and then I come back just a month or 2 ago and was messing around, getting ready to do this, I think, and then saw that pop up again. I was like, oh crap. So finally figured out where it was. I was reading about code injection and trying to figure all that junk out, and I thought that somebody had somehow figured out how to write directly to my, you know, my HTTP files, folders, my SRV folders, and had injected code into my website, but they hadn't. It was out on it was some code that I had that was talking to something that had been taken over, bought out, or stolen, or whatever by this circle push. But it's all a mess. It's a lot bigger mess than it used to be. It's a big. I knew it would get worse, but man, I didn't think it would get so ridiculous. So let's see. That's why I want to keep you know, the big boys at Fedora and Debian and these other places. They you use their system and then just get all their updates, and that's about as safe and secure as I know I can be. So 52% done. So I think rather than jabbering on for another 52%, 49.8%, I think I will stop this, and then when I come back, at least I'll have my audio in sync for a while, which would be better. And I think that'll be a good thing. I think I can stop this with my actually I have a mouse hooked up to the laptop. Yeah, it's working now. I had moved it from one side to the other when I was moving the laptop around, and it didn't work. Yeah, I can use this mouse, hit stop without changing anything. I won't even have to go log in remote desktop wise. Let's see, I can just barely see it. Yeah, this time I didn't do any local recording because I seemed that it was taxing the machine even more. Guess it's encoding two streams, one to YouTube and one to the local. Plus it was 380 something megabytes already in just a short time there, so that's what I'll do. I will it is, well, like I said, it's downloading, and then I know that after downloading it starts to installing, so no point in sitting here during all this. I'll stop it and come back when it's done, and then I'll reboot it, and we'll see if it reboots into a graphic interface. Okay, this is Don, and I'm going to be signing out for now, and we'll be back later when this installation is done. I think I'll wait here a little bit. I noticed that with the audio and video out of sync, when I just go ahead and click stop, it cuts off what I was saying. Okay, wait a little bit and then I'll stop. Okay, this time I'm really gonna be clicking stop. Now, whether or not you'll hear this or not, we'll see. I haven't quite figured out what's ahead or